Hi, I'm Janita. Thank you so much for being here today. This presentation, Mental Health Policy, Stigma and Support Gaps in Underserved Communities, explores how stigma and systemic barriers affect both African American communities and the caseworkers who serve them. We'll look at historical trauma, gaps in care, the role of CLAS standards, and policy strategies to promote healing, equity, and support for those on the front lines. The weight of silence, stigma in African American communities. In many African American communities, silence around mental health is a survival strategy, but it comes at a cost. Stigma keeps many from seeking care. Culturally responsive support is limited. Caseworkers face burnout and trauma. Their own mental health is often ignored. And while class standards exist, they're voluntary. As a health service administrator, I see firsthand how stigma keeps people from getting the care they need. And the caseworkers who serve these communities, they're hurting too, carrying trauma, facing burnout, and often receiving little support themselves. Even national standards like CLAS, which are designed to close these gaps, remain optional. That means real change is still out of reach, and the silence continues. African American communities face distinct mental health challenges shaped by historical trauma, persistent stigma, and systemic barriers to care. These issues aren't just individual, they're structural, and understanding them is essential if we want to build mental health services that are truly effective and culturally responsive. Historical trauma and systemic barriers. Let's take a closer look at the mental health challenges facing African American communities. Challenges shaped not just by stigma, but by history, culture, and systemic neglect. Generational trauma and systemic neglect fuel mistrust. Mental health often viewed as weakness, not wellness. Faith and family are trusted, but not always enough. Silence is a learned survival strategy. The reluctance to seek care isn't simply personal. As you see, it's historical. From medical abuse to institutional betrayal, many have learned to rely on themselves. Faith and family offer strength, but they can't replace professional care. And without trust in the system, healing remains out of reach. Support exists, but it's not built for everyone. Even when someone is ready to seek help, the system doesn't always meet them halfway. Culturally competent providers are rare, and resources are unevenly distributed and underfunded. The CLAS standards were designed to close these gaps, but because they're voluntary, their impact is limited. Structural barriers like limited provider access, lack of culturally responsive services, and economic disparities continue to prevent African Americans from receiving the care they deserve, care that reflects their lived experiences and cultural needs. Let us not forget about the caseworkers. They carry the weight of every story, every crisis, every loss. But who carries them? Caseworkers are the backbone of community support, yet their own well being is often overlooked. Burnout and emotional fatigue are widespread. Mental health support is limited or non existent. And when they leave, it's not just a staffing issue, it's a break in continuity, a loss of trust for the families they serve. Now let's shift toward advocacy and how we begin to change these realities. Empowering African American communities means more than offering services. It means listening, educating, and advocating. We must engage communities directly to build support networks and collective resilience. We need culturally relevant education to raise awareness and reduce stigma. Advocacy must push for equitable access to mental health care and inclusive policies that prioritize equity and treatment. That includes funding programs that reflect cultural realities and reforming the systemic barriers that keep care out of reach. Equity isn't a suggestion, it's a responsibility. But advocacy doesn't stop with the community. Just as we fight for culturally responsive care in African American communities, we must also stand up for the professionals delivering that care. Caseworkers show up every day for others. Now let's talk about how we show up for them. Caseworkers are often overlooked when it comes to mental health support, and that has to change. We need policies that protect them by addressing burnout, ensuring they have the resources to serve effectively, and investing in ongoing training and development. Supportive policies reduce emotional exhaustion and promote well being. Adequate resources help caseworkers serve sustainably. And ongoing education builds resilience and improves care quality. When we care for the caregivers, we strengthen the entire system and create a foundation for sustainable, compassionate support in our communities. To truly address mental health disparities, we must transform policy. And CLAS standards give us the blueprint. They help us tailor care to the cultural realities of African American communities. They remind us that caseworkers need support too. And above all, they show us that healing begins when care is inclusive, respectful, and responsive. Thank you so much for staying, listening, and watching today.